That's some beat up spaceships.
All decks secure. We have the bioformed on board, fully contained.
The Starfleet ships under Takan control have signaled their surrender. Good work, Captain Rydick. Next time I need some backup, I'll know who to call. I trust you won't have a problem with that.
Thanks, Captain Riker. I owe you one.
Yes, you do. But who's keeping count?
Ah, seems like you are.
Captain, we're being hailed. It's the Aphelion.
On screen.
The radiation. We won't last much longer in here. Please, we surrender. We need your help. Please beam us aboard your ship.
I know what they've done, Captain. But we can't let them die. They're our enemies today, but who knows what they could become.
You already offered help and they turned you down. Tried to
Galvin
destroy
turned us down.
Why reach your hand out to them again?
It's what we do.
This is the fate they've chosen. Leave them where they are.
You can't do that.
We don't have much time. We submit. I don't know what else I can say. Please, we don't want to die.
This is what separates us from them. The fact that we can make a gesture of peace even after all our conflict. Set up containment fields in the docking bay and beam the Takan there. Crew of the Aphelion, shut down all systems. Lower your defenses and prepare to be transported.
Thank you.
A lot of Starfleet ships in that last shot there.
Carter! Hey,
My first order of business will be to help reestablish the Hotari government and resume peace talks, genuine talks, with the Illidians.
And after that?
Who knows? I know I don't want to be queen. There's so much good I could do with just a fraction of your medical technology if I could bring it to my people. But I also want to see what else is out there. Maybe there's even a place for me in Starfleet. It would be hard to stay on Hotari forever. Not with all there is to experience, to learn.
When you're ready, Starfleet will be waiting for you. I'll even put in a good word at the Academy.
Thank you. Perhaps I can serve on one of your ships someday.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
But there are pressing matters we must attend to before any of that. I can't thank you enough for all you've done. I'll see you again.
Maybe now the Illidians and the Hotari have something they can bond over.
Starfleet has granted me the privilege of conferring this upon you. Though I'm sure Captain Solano would rather have been the one offering this. You have acted dutifully and bravely through trying circumstances. I grant you the official rank of Captain. I believe a great many wonders lie ahead for you, Jara Rydick. There appears to be nothing that can stand in your way.
Live long and prosper.
Peace and long life.
Victory. Peace. These things never come without a cost. For some, it requires putting aside centuries of enmity. For others, it takes facing complicated losses.
To Carter. How do you say goodbye to someone who isn't really gone? I thought I knew how to leave the past behind, but I've learned a thing or two.
Maybe
And for
now she'll
too
talk
many,
to her sister.
they had to pay the ultimate price. In time, history may forget their sacrifices, but those of us who were there never will. Now, all hands honor the dead. Captain Solano used to say that nothing ever stays the same. Entropy. It's the nature of the universe. As such, the crew of a starship can never stay the same. But while entropy says that order inevitably gives way to chaos, this crew has only grown stronger. More cohesive and coherent. Bound by our shared struggles. And working together, helping each other, we're able to do more than we'd ever imagined. Some of our differences couldn't be resolved, but perhaps that too can change in time. Engage.
They couldn't. They know how to use a transporter and a sample of DNA from a previous incident, like from before an incident,
Space. The final frontier.
to change the DNA back to normal, right?
As we take our next steps into the unknown,
They did it with the doctor.
the
I
greatest
think, like
insights that lie ahead
what's her name?
are what we learn about each other.
On the Enterprise
We might
when
even surprise ourselves.
not gonna come to me.
And no matter what threats
Pulaski.
we may come upon,
Right? When
or
with
mysteries
Dr.
we
Pulaski,
face,
didn't they use like a
we
sample
will
of her
not be shaken.
hair or
We
something?
are stronger
Or
together.
was that a different character
We are
that did that?
steadfast in our purpose. We are resolute.
But couldn't they use the transporters and a sample of the DNA before they returned Kobliad to not Kobliad, to Khan, to transport them and revert them to the way they were before they were infected? Because then we could get the people back. By literally overwriting the DNA back to the way it was before they were infected. They proved it's a possibility on the next generation. And I wouldn't be surprised if, since that event is standard to every time someone transport, they use the last transport as have a log of all the transporter records. So they could do that whenever necessary. At least they should have. Like, that should became something definitely did, right? No, he's infected with some DNA altering thing. Oh, well, put him through the transporter, get him back to normal. Revert to the last save state. Like, come on. You're going to save scum. Save scum with the transporter logs for everybody. Or at least command crew. The ones that go off the ship a lot. But everybody, ideally. Alright, I'm going to let that run for a second while I quickly go to the bathroom, and I'll be right back. gotta say, I thought that was really good. I liked it. I'm not sure how different some of the choices could have really had things. Like it, I don't know. They seem like smaller choices. Like how many? I guess we did destroy some ships. I don't know. We could have disabled them. I'm not sure what disabling those ships would have done for us versus blowing them up during that fight. But I'm happy. I kind of wish there was some course through there where maybe you could have had Nellie being the love interest instead of Miranda. But I think they wanted the love interest that was on the other side, so you had that like tension, right? Whereas if you were just in love with Nellie the whole time and she never got transitioned, like she never got taken over, it wouldn't be a big deal. Although it'd still be a best friend, which I'd say that'd still be devastating. But I don't know. White noise team. Thanks to all these people. Special thanks to these other people. Julian Boneski. Very special thanks to Gene Roddenberry. May he float in orbit peacefully. And of course, to you. Oh, me. Oh, wow. Oh, I guess for players. All right. Let's look at the choices. Dive into your choices. Visit the website or scan the QR code. Well, I guess we'll have to visit the website, right? Okay, I think we got... This doesn't work. I'm going to be so annoyed. After digging this cable out from the bunk that's buried under million bunk levels of cables. All right, close that. Especially since it's aimed at my bare leg. Like, I'm wearing shorts, so it's not weird, but it still feels weird. Alright. Choose to evacuate the surviving to... Oh, wait, is this from the beginning backwards? Choices, here we go. 94% of players, and... So 94% of us saved the Takan afterwards. We are all indoctrinated by the Starfleet proper norms, right? Like, we totally want full Starfleet. Wow, I'm impressed by the sheer number of my fellow Starfleet officers out there, all making the right choice. Only like 6%. That's the renegade captains right there. Probably about represents how many captains are actually renegade, right? 95% chose to make the ultimate sacrifice and have Carter be bioformed aboard the Aphelion. 72% chose Westbrook as first officer. 90% of players chose to transport the Takan crystals onto the Resolute. Again, the Starfleet way is doing it proper. Way to represent my fellow players. God damn. Only 45% of us chose to save Itasca's life aboard the Zeldi. I'm disappointed in you guys. More than half. The majority let her die. I don't know. Maybe they didn't like her as much as I did. She was my favorite of the aliens. Respected okay, 21% of you respected Captain Solano's wishes and did not tell Captain Riker about the stolen shield algorithm. I regretted that, but I was hoping doing that would ingratiate us with him enough that he'd trust us at another spot where he might not have. I don't know if that paid off or not. Especially since shortly thereafter, we took him out because he seemed like the wrong kind of captain. 44% of players and you did not support Captain Solano's decision to not inform Starfleet of the Takan threat. I think it's funny how, like, the telling Riker is the right course. Informing Starfleet is the right course. Alright, 62% of us chose to save the Eidolons during the rescue mission on the Zeldi. 81% chose to side with the Hotari. 90% were interested in a romantic relationship with Miranda. Actually, honestly, I wanted Neely. I just didn't think the game would give us that option. 38% chose Carter to go first. That time hemming and hawing, arguing, we both would have got hurt. Or she would have got hurt worse. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you just gotta go. Defied Captain, 82% defied Solano's orders and harvested reversed the polarity on the hull right at the beginning of the game. This made sense because he didn't have the information, but we got his permission first. We didn't just defy his orders. We were like, Captain, please trust us. And he's like, okay, this better work out. And it did. So I don't think that should have been like, oh, you didn't listen to the captain. Anyway, 77% of players in you followed Lieutenant Bedrosian's advice and raised the shields against the energy wave. Let's see our relationships. For Jara, Captain Solano had high expectations for his new first officer and one simple request: unconditional loyalty. Makes it seem like maybe he already had been. See, this is the part that bugs me. Him being an alien. When did they get him alone? I don't remember him ever being alone with the Hotari that were already Scions. And he was acting weird from the beginning. So I don't know if it made sense for him to be a Scion. Because then Spock, the only time he was on the planet, he was down there with Spock. The whole security team getting caught makes sense, but then like the only way they could get him is if they got Spock as well, I thought. Anyways, unconditional loyalty. He had every confidence you would have his back no matter what and help him restore his tarnished reputation within Starfleet. Your track record in that regard was decidedly mixed, leaving Captain Solano feeling conflicted about his choice. You weren't always willing to follow explicit orders, but you did show some consideration for his fears and concerns about the mission and how it might be perceived. Fortunately or otherwise, Captain Solano was bioformed by the Takan before he could share his opinions with Starfleet. 10% of players in you. So, most didn't like him. Well, he was a pompous ass, so it made sense. To say Lieutenant Bedrosian was a fan of Jara when she first arrived aboard the Resolute would be an understatement. She had studied the trajectory of her career and used it as a model for her own. So when you faced the admittedly difficult choice of saving countless Elydian lives or protecting losing your sight. Oh, you lost your sight. Temporarily. Then we got you a freaking visor that gives you better than normal sight. And then even after that, at this point, Geordi, like, you could get the eyes that made him, like, look like human eyes even. So her being, this is a temporary setback for her. It wasn't permanent career-altering harm. Not to mention, Geordi was able to become a captain with the visor and artificial eyes. Insult was added to injury when you then willfully and wantonly disregarded her feelings by transporting the Taconian crystals aboard the Resolute, which left her disillusioned and questioning her admiration for Jara from the start. Okay. But she took it one step farther and it's like, well, then I can't even be part of Starfleet. Get over yourself, you little gung-ho little biatch. Like, I get it, she's tactical. Being aggressive is fine, but it's like, we're Starfleet. We don't destroy when we don't have to. And there's a difference between Taconians and Scions. Scions needed to be put down. Taconians had a right to be preserved. Especially like if we could get them back to the Taconian planet where we got Portal from, maybe he could set up systems where they become like him and they're like that kind of existence, right? You never know. Vulcan philosophy suggests logic is the beginning of wisdom, not the end. Ambassador Spock saw the wisdom behind Jara's leadership under the most trying of circumstances. From your very first meeting, he noted your support of Captain Solano and your insight into the complex dynamics of the Hotari Elydian conflict during the mission briefing, and he thought highly of the way you handled yourself when put to the test by the Hatari Queen. More importantly, he respected your candor and commitment to the values of Starfleet when you defied Captain Solano and insisted on informing Starfleet that the Resolute shield codes had been compromised. Ultimately, however, you earned the enduring respect and admiration of Admiral Spock for your undaunted courage in the face of the threat from the Scions of the Flame. From this day forward, he will think of you as one of the most promising young captains in all Starfleet, and only 27% got that. The 27%, the elite, obviously. Come on. 19% got First Officer Westbrook. Wasn't exactly subtle, expressing his concerns about the arrival of a new XO, a role he had long envisioned for himself. He successfully navigated First Officer Westbrook was disappointed you chose not to confide your suspicion about Captain Solano being bioformed, yet you finally receive a promotion to First Officer, or yet to finally receive a promotion to First Officer under your command was one of the great moments of his career. 19%. 16% got Tylus' trust, was grateful for Gyro's support, and offered to help forge peace with the Elydians when they discussed the matter in sickbay. However, the other guy did not like us. Where is he? There he is. 23% had this result. After the accident that claimed the life of the previous XO, First Officer Ermont knew the crew of the USS Resolute desperately needed a strong second in command to both complement and, when necessary, challenge Captain Solano. He was immediately impressed when you showed a willingness to challenge orders and disrupt the status quo when the lives of the crew were at risk. He felt slighted when you chose not to confide your suspicion about the Captain Solano being bioformed, but that paled in comparison to the sting of being passed over for promotion when you chose your new first officer, a role he felt he was uniquely qualified for. I think he would have made an excellent choice too, to be honest. After the Resolute was hit by the bioforming ray, Dr. Duvali fully supported Jara's cautious reactions when she gave the order to lock down the lower deck and not vent them into space. Because we could have vented the air, like the air. I think a better option would have been anesthetizing gas and just knock everybody out. Why risk a mutiny until you can get it, find out who's what? Lock it down, pump it full of anesthetizing gas, knock them all out, go and sweep them all up, and those who are infected immediately get put into the brig. Get them all at once. It's kind of like hitting on them with a wide beam phaser pulse, right? Even when facing certain defeat, Galvin remained defiant to the end after refusing Jara's offer to send help. 17% of players and us offered to send help. Actually, I thought it said more people offered the help. Where was it? So, evacuate them. Well, that's after that point, though. Okay. It would have been between these 2 points, so it's not listed as a choice. Probably because it doesn't matter what you make, he doesn't take it. He did not like us, though. 21% of us got the relationship with the portal we had. Portal 6-3 appreciated Jara's empathy when he was overwhelmed by feelings of loss inside the Tacon vault. He was eternally grateful when Jara transported the Taconian crystals from the vault to the Resolute. After Captain Riker arrived at the head of the Starfleet Armada for the climactic battle, he was pleased when Jara sounded so grateful. 25% of players got that relationship with him. After Lieutenant Commander Jovak warned Jara of the dangers of a warp core breach at the height of the battle against the Aphelion, he was impressed by her unshakable confidence in the crew and him. 13%. He liked us. Oh, this next guy didn't like us, really. Ensign Galloway was somewhat surprised and slightly concerned after Jara pulled rank when he discovered her lurking in engineering. 9% of players chose that option. You know what, though? We didn't know if he could have been the Taconian at that point. We didn't know. So being like, I'm sorry, but it's top secret, made sense. Cedron refused to accept Jara's explanation for the Tacon dead and blamed her for blatantly manipulating Portal 6-3. Yeah, screw him though. And that's all the relationships from the Jara side. On Carter's side, 19%. Okay. Which is why Nilly was caught off guard? What? Nilly was caught off guard when you insisted on going first during the dangerous hall walk mission, leaving her vulnerable and exposed while you emerged unscathed. Nilly joined Starfleet because she wanted to be part of an egalitarian organization with a mission to promote the greater good. So she was particularly proud when you lived up to those ideals when you refused to torture the Takan prisoners aboard the Aphelion and saved Itasca's life. What tore her heart out was when you made the greatest sacrifice of all, giving your life so she could live, and leaving her emotionally devastated. It will take a long time for her to recover, but she is determined to honor your memory for the rest of her life. Oh, maybe she did fall in love with us. Maybe there's a chance we could have had the love of Nilly? Oh man, why did I have to go with Miranda? It was the first one that game gave me an option to, honestly, and I wasn't sure. It seemed like they weren't going to give the option with Nilly. That'd be interesting to see if we could play it again and actually go through and maybe confess our love to Nilly instead of Miranda. You seemed receptive to the idea of, and Miranda was encouraged there might be romance aboard the Resolute. Of course, it didn't help matters when she was then bioformed and turned into a scion of the flame, but she did appreciate it when you sent her to sickbay instead of the brig. The final nail in the coffin for your relationship was your refusal to join her as a sign of the flame, and her only regret is that Edsalar managed to kill her despite her every effort to kill you first. Despite being thrust together under desperate circumstances, you found a way to get Major Armin to rally behind your leadership and unite against your common enemy. Bedtime. You differed in the lengths you were willing to go to gain any possible advantage, and ultimately he was grateful when you chose to save Itasca's life. 7%? We're part of a 7% group that got him to actually like us. Alright, Chovak. Recognizing that your track record was decidedly mixed, at times you couldn't resist pushing his buttons, while at others you made an effort to stay in his good graces. 18% for Chovak. Alright, Commander Westbrook was proud of Carter's recognition of Edsalar and his willingness to offer his honest assessment of a complex problem during the senior staff briefing aboard the Resolute. Seemed odd. I thought that was an odd moment because it's like the last time he's ever going to talk to Carter at that point. But I guess all the little things count, right? Regardless of his reasoning, Lieutenant Itasca was grateful Carter saved her life. 10%. Ambassador Spock was impressed by Carter's skillful use of the tractor beam to rescue his shuttle, and he was left with the distinct impression Carter is a team player. When confronted with the task of destroying the Aphelion, Portal was glad to hear Carter shared his appreciation for the ship. That's all their relationships. And all their choices. They don't seem to go over a lot of the choices. Resolutions 8. And the other slots have not been played yet. Okay. So that's all the choices. I wouldn't mind playing again, to be honest. See different choices. Again, see if maybe we can have a relationship with Nilly. Like, nothing against Miranda. But besides getting bioformed, she's got nothing on Nilly. Honestly. Like, not bad. 10. Okay, maybe not a 10, but by far and away, my favorite character in the game was Nilly. Till next time, everybody, we're going to call it there. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more Jade Empire, and tomorrow night with Star Wars Jedi Survivor, clearing up some more of the items and challenge fights and whatnot. And we'll go from there. Until then, everybody, stay happy, stay healthy, stay awesome. Hope to see you tomorrow.